The internet's filled with memes that are essentially just caricatures that are so extreme they can't possibly exist in the real world. But in some cases, what if they actually did? When scrolling through the internet, it's not uncommon to hear a plethora of memes and mocking gestures at certain subgroups of people. This can range from the Karen to the Doomer, and of course, the topic of this video, the Chad. While we might see that almighty face of masculinity as nothing more than a caricature, what if I told you that there exists real-life versions of this exaggeration? But how could that be? Well, depending on how much you're looking around Twitter, Reddit, or 4chan, you might see two men consistently pop up when referring to real-life Chads. The images show two similar-looking gentlemen with long chins, large lips, and other pronounced features. To those that don't know better, they might assume that this is just somebody messing around with Photoshop. But the truth is, these two actually do exist. In fact, they're regarded as celebrities in their home country beyond their weird appearances, where people know them as the Bogdanoff brothers. So you might be asking why they look that way, and what are they even famous for? Well, to explain that, we'll first have to go back a few decades. Born and raised in St. Larry, Gers, France, to a royal bloodline, twins Igor and Grinchka had quite the rich lifestyle from the start of their lives. Growing up in a castle owned by their grandmother, they were exposed to a vast library of books from various different languages, leading to them gaining a love for astrology and science fiction. After successfully writing a book about the conventions of the sci-fi genre, they began starring in their own shows on French television. After decades of presenting science for young viewers, they gained a major following in their home country. From the start of their careers, the twins were recognized for their overly accentuated cheekbones, impressively strong jawlines, and general odd appearance, with the first thought coming to most people's minds being plastic surgery being the culprit. And while this started off as nothing more than a suspicion, as they continued to age, they began to reach further inward towards the uncanny valley. Many people wondered how else these facial features could get to this point. While there have been reports that the two have gone through heavy plastic surgery in the past 30 years, most of these come from the Daily Mail and other tabloid-esque sites, with little in terms of evidence, so most don't consider them credible sources. But analyzing their faces ourselves might give us better insight. Starting back in their primetime TV days, the brothers looked quite good, possessing some of the features they're recognized for today, such as their long jaws and well-crafted noses. It wouldn't be until the mid-90s that noticeable anomalies began happening to their bodies. As mentioned before, the main areas of suspected plastic surgery have been their cheeks, chins, and lips. But another theory suggests it may have to do with a rare genetic disorder known as acromegaly. This is a condition resulting from excess growth hormones. Specifically, it has the ability to lengthen the jaw and nose, furrow the brow, and inflame the lips, hands, and feet. It's not caused by inherited traits, so would explain why their children don't have the same features, especially considering the condition appears later on in life. Looking at their hands and press images, this theory is further substantiated by the puffy and large fingers they have in comparison to other men their age. This is another common side effect. Among theories about the brothers, this is probably the most plausible explanation other than plastic surgery. It could even be asserted that it may be a mix of both, but alas, we've never gotten clear confirmation of either. That being said, for anyone that wants to get super conspiratorial about the twins, there's no better place to look than the same sites that made them a meme. 4chan and Reddit. This brings us to what is called the bog pill, a theory that started out on Out of the Loop before being moved to their own subreddit and 4chan threads. To list off some of the more outlandish claims from this fringe group, it stated that the brothers are interdimensional time beings that exist in all time periods, have been contacted by aliens, and are in the process of terraforming Pluto as their own planet, and own nanobot labs across the world that monitor almost all human beings. This all plays into the twin sci-fi roots, and thanks to the old school site's Funny Junk, another theory has been spread around about the brothers, comparing Igor to an Egyptian pharaoh. Like the 4chan and Reddit posts before it, the original image was certainly meant to be nothing more than a joke, but somehow a few select individuals supposedly believe it's true. All this being said, whether they've had plastic surgery, suffer from a rare medical disorder, have been contacted by aliens, or are the descendants of the pharaoh, they've gained a newfound level of popularity thanks to the internet. Even though people see the Bogdanoff twins as the real-life embodiment of Chads, there is one higher plane of existence that we have yet to mention, the Giga Chad. We'll learn more about this after a brief word from our sponsor. Just like most other people, a majority of my shopping is done online nowadays. Because of this, how I go about getting a good deal is a bit different than it used to. That's where today's sponsor, Honey, comes into play. For those that don't know, it's a free browser extension that scours the internet for promo codes and automatically tests them at checkout. Here's how it works. You get Honey on your computer for free in 2 easy clicks. Then when you're checking out on one of its 30,000 supported sites, Honey pops up and all you have to do is click apply coupons. Next, you wait a moment as Honey tests the codes it can find, and if it finds one that works, you'll watch the prices drop. Whenever I buy video games online, I'm always sure to use the extension, and I often save quite a bit of money. Take it from me, if you have a computer, Honey should be on it. So to try it out for yourself with a simple 2-click install, go to joinhoney.com/GFM. Again, that's joinhoney.com/GFM so they know I sent you. The Giga Chad, as described by the Incel Wiki, refers to a 10 out of 10 Chad, who's within the top 0.1% of physical attractiveness, and intimidates most men with his muscular physique. These gods amongst mortals generally have incredible facial aesthetics and symmetry, tall stature, and are in perfect shape. While most would stop there, others go as far to claim that Giga Chads have superpowers, such as Herculean strength, the ability to fly, and the ability to draw any woman to them like a moth to a flame. When it comes to incel glory, you can't get much more beloved than this. And just as the Bogdanoffs have been used to show mid-level Chads, for the ultimate of extremes, there's this image. In a similar but more appealing facial makeup to the twins, this man has a sharp jaw, pointed nose, and the addition of an insanely low body fat percentage. And while it might be hard to believe, this picture has not been photoshopped as far as anyone can tell. As images of this man have gone around social media sites, many have wanted to know who he is. Some were able to find the image's sources in the form of a website called Project Sleek and Tears. However, he is the only man listed without a name, instead going by 1969. Doing further research would reveal that he has an Instagram where his first name is listed, Ernest. Beyond pictures, videos can be found on YouTube of people including him doing various exercises. The channel has been inactive for over 2 years at this point, so it could be speculated whether the company is still in business or not. But looking at his personal Instagram, Ernest still calls himself a model, so we can't be sure. Looking further through the channel will reveal his full name, Ernest Kalamov. But beyond that, we were not able to discover much else about him as his only known social media is private. One more thing that can be said about Ernest is that it turns out he is not one man alone. Rather, he is one of 3 brothers who, like the Bogdanoffs, have very similar facial aesthetics. Whether they're also bodybuilders or gods is still up for debate on incel forums, as unlike Ernest, there appears to be little to no documentation about the other 2 outside of this image. At the end of the day, they're just another example of how much of an identity the internet can give a person based solely on a picture. We may get to see plenty of unique characters in our day-to-day lives, but on occasion, the World Wide Web will gain a hyperfixation towards a particular odd person or group of people. Whether it be 2 rich brothers with a love of science in France or a bodybuilder in Russia, it's crazy to see what the World Wide Web can do. So that leads to the question, is there another tier above the Giga Chad? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. So there you have two examples of an internet caricature that might actually have some real-world representation, and maybe I could discuss some other cases of this in the future. But until then, I'll end the video here. So until next time, thanks for watching.